The Lion's Gate actually opens into the Muslim section of the city, but its long-standing historical tie to the life and death of Christ gives it special meaning to Christians. The lions, from which it got its name, are actually a pair of spectacular carved beasts put there by Suleiman the Magnificent. Legend has it that the idea of two lions came to Suleiman in a dream, threatening to tear him to pieces if he didn't repair and rebuild the walls of old Jerusalem. The dream spurred him to restore the walls and gates to some of their former glory. The gate's other name, St. Stephen's Gate, was given by the early Christian crusaders who wanted to rename it after the first Christian martyr, St. Stephen. During the time of Jesus, another major gate is believed to have been located right at or near the Lion's Gate. This so-called Sheep Gate was named for the sheep baths that were located nearby. The analogy to sheep is poignant because many Christian historians believe that Jesus' last entry into the city of Jerusalem was made through the Sheep Gate. Jesus' encounters with the city of Jerusalem were always dramatic ones. The Christian Bible teaches that the young Jesus astounded the priests at the temple with his knowledge of the holy books. His last entry into Jerusalem began with a celebration. His followers threw branches in front of his mount as he rode into the city, and they shouted, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." The pre-Easter Christian holiday of Palm Sunday celebrates this entry. After Jesus entered the city, he went to Herod's beautiful temple. He became angry when he saw money changers polluting the court of the Gentiles, profiting from those who were buying sacrificial animals. He angered the Jewish religious leaders when he stormed through the temple's court of Gentiles, angrily overturning the money tables and running off the money changers. Just inside the current Lion's Gate, the crucifixion of Christ is brought into vivid detail along the street called the Via Dolorosa. There, marked along the narrow Roman street, are the so-called Stations of the Cross, commemorating the places Jesus passed on his way to Golgotha. The last 7 stations are inside one of the most holy of Christian sites, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The current building dates from the 12th century and is one of the oldest standing buildings in Jerusalem. Many additions have been added over the centuries. 6 rival Christian sects jealously guard their portion of the Holy Sepulchre, sometimes to the detriment of maintenance and cleaning. After a 1927 earthquake damaged the structure, it took 32 years for the Roman Catholics, Greek Orthodox, Armenians, Syrians, Copts, and Ethiopians to come to an agreement as to how to proceed with repairs. Left out of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre are the Protestants. Some of them claim a separate burial site for Jesus, the Garden Tomb near the central bus station in East Jerusalem, not far from the Damascus Gate. They argue that a large rock nearby looks decidedly like Golgotha, which means skull, the rock upon which Jesus was said to be crucified. The rock appears to have a face looking directly at you. The tomb at this site would have been located outside the city walls, as required by Jewish law. The Holy Sepulchre, which is located within the city, might not have been the original place of his burial. However, the Protestants emphasize that geography is unimportant, since after all, Jesus has risen and cannot be absolutely identified with any specific site. Every Friday, crowds of Christians gather at the house of Caiaphas, the former high priest in Jerusalem who played a key role in Christ's crucifixion, to begin a pilgrimage on the Via Dolorosa. Many of these holy sites, celebrated by pilgrims today, owe their existence to the work of a bishop and a Roman queen who located and protected them. Early in the 4th century, the Roman Emperor Constantine adopted Christianity as the official religion of the Roman Empire. He had been converted to Christianity by his mother, Queen Helena, who had come to her faith late in life. Constantine was dramatically changed by his new religious commitment. He credited all his military victories to his new religion and became zealous in his desire to spread the faith. Pilgrims began demanding to see exact sites of sacred events, but no one really knew where most of these biblical events actually took place. In 325 AD, Bishop Macarius of Jerusalem convinced Queen Helena to come to the Holy Land to officially determine the sites in the life and crucifixion of Jesus. The holy sites had been neglected for some time. Using intuition and logic, Bishop Macarius and Queen Helena identified many of the Bible's holy places. Queen Helena even claimed to have found the original cross and nails used in the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. She also established 50 holy sites on the Mount of Olives. Just inside the Lion's Gate, pilgrims can visit the site of the birthplace of the Virgin Mary at St. Anne's Crusader Church. Nearby are the Bethesda pools, where Jesus healed an invalid paralyzed for 38 years. Venturing outside the Lion's Gate, worshippers discover the Mount of Olives. It was on this hill some 2,000 years ago that Jesus and his disciples walked. The Mosque of Ascension on the top of the mountain is a rare Muslim site which recognizes Jesus. From this spot, Jesus is thought to have ascended to heaven 40 days after the resurrection. Inside this humble building is what many believe is a footprint of Jesus. Nearby, at the Church of Pater Noster, is the site where Jesus is believed to have taught his disciples the Lord's Prayer. To celebrate the event, the Crusaders built a church and have placed on the walls the Lord's Prayer in 60 different languages. At the Church of Dominus Flevit, pilgrims can find the very stone upon which Jesus is said to have wept for Jerusalem. The church is built in the shape of a teardrop, symbolizing Christ's pity. The view through the stained glass window is one of the majestic sights in the country. Down the hill in Gethsemane is the location of the garden where Jesus prayed, was betrayed, and was arrested. Under these ancient olive trees he once sat and taught his disciples. The site of the betrayal of Jesus by Judas Iscariot is marked by the Church of All Nations, built in 1924. Looming over the Mount of Olives is one of the most beautiful churches in Jerusalem. These are the onion domes of the Russian Orthodox Church, built by Tsar Alexander III in 1888. But are these really the locations where these events took place? It's hard to know. While these were dramatic events at the time, it was still more than 300 years later when Queen Helena began trying to locate the actual sites. Archaeologists tell us that some of the sites don't seem to correspond with the historical record, while others do. But to most faithful pilgrims, physical proof isn't the point. For as you see, the most important bond that holds together the communities of Old Jerusalem is faith. The holy ground inside these gates must first be entered through the heart. For the Jewish people who inherited this land from time immemorial, the old city of Jerusalem is sacred. It is their beloved home. It is the site of their ancient temple. But life goes on in the ancient walled city. Believers of all faiths are called to prayer. Pilgrims and the devout enter the gates to the city of peace. Some find no peace, but the peace is there, somewhere within the gates of time. This is the city where history began, and where, many believe, history will end.